What's up, guys? Pittsburgh Weiss Schwartz back again with another deck tech for you. We finished set reviewing Rent a Girlfriend recently and got some requests to cover a deck that uses both of the Chizuru combos from the set, plays 8 gate. And so we've thrown that together for you here. And without further ado, I'm going to jump into it. Nice quick deck tech today. Here's the deck list, as we do at the beginning of all of our videos. If you're here for that, feel free to drop us a like. We leave that for you. The deck list will also be included, the Encore deck list in the description. So the first level 0 that we play in the deck is the Mommy Ricky. The Ricky effect is extremely strong in this deck, as the deck revolves pretty heavily around resolving multiple copies of your level 1 Chizuru combo. Pay 1 clock top card of your deck. Search your deck for a level 1 or lower character, allows you to grab multiple copies of your level 1 combo every single game pretty consistently with 4 copies of this, as well as any other utility cards that you might need, like your Brainstorm. In addition to that, this card also has a pretty solid second effect that makes it a decent chump attacker over the course of the entire game. When this card attacks, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a climax, choose one of your opponent's characters and bounce it back to hand. So the card turns all of your gate triggers into wins that salvage, which can be extremely strong against opponents that play things like standby or things with heavy stock costs, where you can cripple your opponent's entire stock economy by popping one of their key characters back to their hand when they least expect it. We play 2 copies of this Mommy Drop Salvage. Unplay, it allows you to mill 2 cards, and it also has pay 1, ditch a card, salvage a character, and give 1,000 power to one of your characters. The mill 2 effect is fairly relevant in this set, since there are not a lot of mill options. You don't have great deck control in this deck, so the mill 2 is potentially relevant in that regard. But the drop salvage also allows you to dig for those level 1 combos or whatever other card you're looking for at any given point of the game to get your game plan where it needs to go. Adds a little bit of selectivity to your game. We play 3 copies of the Chizuru Brainstorm. Fits right in this deck. We're playing the 8 door triggers. Gives an extra soul to one of your characters when you play a door, and is also a self-rest salvage Brainstorm that only hits off of door triggers. This is the only deck in Rent a Girlfriend that this card fits in, and so we are playing it because it works very well with the climaxes we are playing. Surprise, surprise. Plussing level 0 in the deck with 4 copies of the Ruka Clean Cut. If you have another Rent a Girlfriend trait character, sits at 3k, so it's pretty big on its own, and sometimes it just lives cross turn because of that. But it also is a clean cut. When it scores a reverse, you can choose one of your other characters, rest it, and move it to an empty slot in your back row. Unfortunately, Rent a Girlfriend doesn't have a lot of great clean cut targets, especially in this deck. So you use this card primarily as an extra field plus. Just grab anything to save, smack your Brainstorm into something, pull it back, or your best option to play the Ricky, crash the Ricky into something while trying to fish for that wind, and then push it back to attack with it again another turn, to give it yet another chance to try to get that sweet, sweet pop back effect. We play 4 copies of this level 0 Chizuru from the trial deck. As I mentioned with the Mommy Drop Search, this deck does not have great deck speed, and this card allows you to dig 2 cards down into your deck. So it, while not a quintessential deck speed tool, does allow you to move cards, and also allows you to sculpt your hand to a pretty particular degree. On play, reveal top if it's a Rent a Girlfriend trait character, add it to your hand and ditch a card. Also on play, put a Rent a Girlfriend character from your hand to waiting room. If you do, you can draw a card. You're able to resolve those 2 effects in either order. So if you're fishing for a climax, you can use the first effect to pull a character off the top of your deck and then try to draw into a climax. Or if you are just trying to filter your hand, you could draw first and then filter the card that you drew with the second. The last level 0 we play in this deck, 2 copies of the Christmas Chizuru. This card also allows you to dig a little bit further down into your deck. It's on play, pay 1, discard a Rent-A-Girlfriend trait character. And if you do, look at up to 4 cards from the top of your deck, choose any card from among them. So in addition to allowing you to dig an additional 4 cards down into your deck, the card allows you to grab anything off the top, allows you to fish for your climaxes when you need them, an additional finisher, one of your events, anything that you're looking for at any point in the game. This card allows you to dig down in your deck and try to grab it. Going into our level 1, we play 4 copies of the Chizuru combo. The card is a little bit of a beast. It's a 104k. During your turn, if you have another Rent-A-Girlfriend character, so if you're playing the game at all, card sits at 7k on your turn and 8k with its climax. So card already hits over most things at level 1. Standby targets generally sit at 7,500. So this card should not have any issue, save for your opponent holding a backup, hitting over most things at level 1. And thanks to that, the level 1 combo, when you play the gate, if this card scores a reverse on its attack, you get to salvage a character, and then it also allows you to ditch a Rent-A-Girlfriend character from your hand to salvage another Rent-A-Girlfriend character or the level 2 Chizuru event, which allows you to early play your finisher. To help with your level 1 Chizuru hitting over things, as if swinging in at 8k with the climax wasn't big enough, we play 3 copies of this level 1 Chizuru from the trial deck. Card gets plus X power on play, where X is the number of your total Rent-A-Girlfriend characters, including this card, times 500. So card comes down at 6,500 if it's the last character you play on your turn. And it also, when it attacks, gives an additional 1,500 power to any one of your characters, including potentially itself. So this card can swing in at 8k with its own 1,500 power boost, or you can throw that 1,500 power at your level 1 combo to try to crest a particularly troublesome lane. Going into our level 2s here, as I've mentioned multiple times already, Rent-A-Girlfriend does not have great control over its deck, doesn't have a lot of options to get through its deck quickly if something goes wrong, and so it crutches pretty heavily on this free fresh counter. Card is a 2/1 2,500 counter. On play, pay 2, and free fresh. Put all of your cards in your waiting room back into your deck. So if you find yourself in a bad spot where on a fresh deck, 30 cards in your deck or whatever, you triple cancel and then you triple trigger, all of a sudden you're out 6 of the climaxes that were in your deck. This card allows you to put those climaxes that you canceled with back into your deck, but also the 3 that you triggered to get yourself back into a more favorable state. Also at level 2, we play 1 copy of this Chizuru assist, gives global 500 power to all Chizuru characters, as well as an additional global 1,000 power to all Rent-A-Girlfriend trait characters. So this 2/1 gives 1,500 power global to all Chizuru characters, which is most of our deck. In addition to its third effect, when you trigger a gate, you can discard any card from your hand. If you do, look at up to 2 cards from the top of your deck, take either of them, and discard the other. Effect isn't super relevant. Level 2, it comes online a little bit late, but it does allow you, when you trigger a gate, to filter your hand into a more favorable state and dig for a card that you could be looking for at that certain point in the game. The last level 2 card that we play, 3 copies of the Chizuru event, can be played if you have at least 1 other Rent-A-Girlfriend character, and if your memory has 2 or less cards. Then it gains at the beginning of your main phase. So when you play this card, it will be the middle of your main phase. It won't gain this effect until the start of your next turn, your main phase. It gains Act, send this card to waiting room. Choose a Chizuru finisher from your hand, put it into any slot on the stage, and this turn that character gains 1,000 power. So the Chizuru finisher heals when it comes into play from hand. It gives you that additional healing, while also allowing you to start to do your Climax combo at level 2. and I'll explain the Chizuru finisher in just a moment. But first, we play 4 copies at level 3 of this Chizuru early play healer. Something to note, this is the only green card in the deck, so we're playing 4 of it. You're probably going to want to level this card fairly early, get 1 of it in your level, or at least in your clock by the time you hit level 2, so you can start slamming these down and healing for 1. Card is a full field condition, ditch heal to stock, that if you have 2 or more other characters sits at 10k. Pretty standard, plays for 1 stock, swings for 2 soul, helps you stay at level 2 a little bit longer, especially since you need to survive until your next turn to get your Chizuru event to pop to get the finisher to come down from your hand and get those extra heals. Speaking of Chizuru finisher, when this card is placed on the stage from your hand, so that could be if you play it from your hand by paying the 2 stock, or if it comes from your hand by the effect of the 2/0 event, you get to heal. Additionally, the card heals if it comes into play by the auto effect of a different Chizuru that we're going to look at in just a moment. The Climax Combo, when this card attacks, if the gate's in your Climax area, you can pay 1, ditch 1, burn 2, and this card gains 1000 power. And it gains the following ability. When this card is frontal attacked, it pops back to your hand. The effect isn't super relevant, the popping back to hand that being, but it does allow you to, since this card sits relatively small at 9500 power, allows you to maintain hand size while also popping back a potential healer that you could play again back to your hand and maybe combo with again in the future. But the main draw of the card is the fact that it heals on play and is a relatively cheap pay 1, ditch 1, burn 2. So the other Chizuru I mentioned earlier, the one that goes with the finisher, is this one here. This Chizuru is on play. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, take any one of them and add it to your hand. And at the start of your Climax step, you can sack this card from your board, and if you do, choose one of the Chizuru finishers from your waiting room and place it in this card slot on the stage. So this card acts effectively as a 5th and 6th copy of your finisher that also allows your finisher to dig into your deck a little bit for the climax for the combo if you don't have it in your hand by the time you go for it. In addition to that, as I mentioned on the Chizuru finisher itself, when this card changes into it, you do also get the heal from the Chizuru finisher. So this card's an all-around good card that makes playing down your Chizuru finisher at level 3 when you're going for the kill just a little bit easier. But that's it. The Chizuru deck is fairly straightforward. At level 0, your game plan is to dig into your deck as hard as possible, start working toward that first deck while using the Rickies and the drop search to get into as many copies of your level 1 combo as possible, so you can start setting up those reverses and start sculpting for the rest of your game. Level 1, as I said, you play the combo. If your opponent left you reverses, you take what you can get. You start to sculpt your hand. You grab up to 2 copies of the 2/0 event, get the finisher into hand so that the event can pop it back into play, and start to grab early play heals to live through your level 2. Your first level 2 turn, you ideally want to slam 2 of the 2/0 Chizuru events immediately into memory, and then heal as far down to the bottom of level 2 as you possibly can to avoid being hit to level 3 to make the best use of the heals that the Chizuru finishers give when they come into play from the effect of the event, while crutching on the free fresh counter to get yourself out of those bad deck states that cause you to blow up from bottom of level 2 to level 3. As a reminder, level 1 of the Chizuru early plays early. Since it is the only green card in the deck, you will need one of those around in order to put the other ones into play. But on your second level 2 turn, your Chizuru combos come down. Hopefully you have the climax in hand by this point. You slam that, burn your opponent, and then the card pops back to hand when your opponent attacks it, which you can then utilize to heal some more, or just as an additional card in your hand to ditch for a different card's effect. At level 3, once you've gone for your combo once at level 2, the Chizuru finisher changer allows you to dig for your climax one more time to try to go for the kill. The fact that the deck is 8 gate allows you to constantly have enough cards in your hand to do anything that you want to do. The bottleneck on the deck is unfortunately due to the stock cost of things, especially if you're constantly paying 3 stock to free fresh to keep your deck in a reasonable state. And also, as I mentioned, the deck does have deck speed issues, but that's part of the reason why you have to pay so much stock for your free fresh counter. But that's about it for the Chizuru deck. As far as content we have going forward, we've had a lot of requests to start doing our HoloLive stuff. That'll be coming very, very soon now. It'll probably be up next week if I had to guess. If you're looking to discuss Weiss Schwarz, play games with other people, the Discords are a good place to do that. People are always online talking in the chats about stuff. They're in VC playing games with each other over webcam. If you're looking to buy, sell, trade Weiss Schwarz, the Facebook groups are the best place to do that. Global has the most activity, but if you're in NA and you're looking not to pay shipping from other countries, the NA community is a good place for that. But that is about it for this video. So with that, Pittsburgh Weiss Schwarz signing off. See you next time.